Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. It's morning. I don't usually do videos in the morning, but I wanted to get this out before I get started on the rest of my day. By now, most of you are familiar with the active shooter situation that occurred in Collierville, Tennessee. Uh, there's another YouTuber that may be adding to that. I just texted back and forth with him last night about whether he was going to, and I think he might. I hope he will, but I won't say who it is. If he wants to, he will. But I want to say a word about active shooter. I think it was just the last one, the one that I shot yesterday, about get ready for violence. When I say get ready for violence, I mean get ready for everything. We are living in a time when the dynamics are complex. You never know what's going to happen, and you never know why. You never know what's going to be real, what's false flag, what's whatever. There are so many intricacies to the the web of things that are happening that there's no way we could sit down and analyze it in any uh, organized fashion, and that's what I'm saying. You have to be ready for violence at any moment, all the time, everywhere. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about active shooter. I have taught um, active shooter for corporations. Um, and I'm going to tell you the truth about this. What I mean, active shooter. You know what I mean. I have taught how to respond, how to deal with an active shooter situation. Uh, to be honest, when I have to do it within the constraints of their corporate policies, it is pure BS. Now, maybe I shouldn't say pure. Maybe I should say 90%, because they go through we go through the same uh, run, hide, fight kind of thing like that. I'm not going to go through that today. There's plenty of places to go, and you can get in-depth, uh, you know, detailed discussion of proper response to active shooter. I could go on for an hour or two about it, and most of that is not necessary. I want cover a couple of things here. The interesting thing here is that what happened is two people dead, including the shooter, which usually the shooter is ends up dead, and very often from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Their intent is to do damage, to kill either designated people or as many people as they can, until they are met with resistance, or until they feel as if they've done all they can and resistance is going to get there and they take themselves out. There's a lot of interesting stuff that goes on behind that, and you can have a lot of suspicions about that. For the conspiracy minded, there's all sorts of rabbit trails to go down, and not all of them are wrong. Uh, but anyway, in addition to that, what was there, 12 or 13 people shot in that grocery store, that Kroger store in Collierville? Do you remember the last one that we had at a Kroger store? Not a Kroger store, I'm sorry, at a grocery store. And I don't remember where that was. It doesn't matter. There's a couple of interesting things. In that last one, people said that as they were leaving, and before the police got there, and that's important to keep in mind, as they were leaving, they heard shots throughout the store. Okay, after the initial, bang, 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 then they heard methodical shots throughout the store. The interesting thing about that, and to raise my suspicions, was that everyone was dead. Now, that doesn't happen in a volatile shooting situation. Not everybody gets killed. What that means is that he had the time that, and I don't even remember the guy's name. I don't pay that close attention to these things. What that means is that he was able, you don't kill everybody with your first shot. And that means he was able to go up to people that were downed and put another one in them to complete the job. Very, very unusual. Uh, Yesterday's at Collierville, Kroger, it was much more aligned with what usually happens, and that was 2 dead, one victim, and then the shooter, and then what, 12 injured, something like that. That's much more likely. Okay, they found people hiding in freezers and in offices, locked offices, and they're hiding, right? I'm sure that some got out, they ran, right? So that you got the run and the hide taken care of. What was missing in there was the fight, and that is almost always what's missing. If you go back through shooter after shooter after shooter situation, one after another, you're missing the fight part. Okay, when the police got there, when I don't know if it was a SWAT team or whether it was, I think I read someplace it was a SWAT team. Now, what should have happened was a district guard should have showed up, or a couple of district guards, things like that. Guys are coming from everywhere, at least they used to be. Okay, and coming from everywhere, and those district guys would be going in there and trying to put a stop to it. Well, by the time the police got there, it was over. Okay, the guy had already taken himself out. He'd shot as many people as he could and did himself. Okay, that goes back to the old, when seconds count, the police are minutes away, and no truer thing was ever said. I said way back in my day, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, I told people police can't protect you. We get there after the mess has been made. We try to clean up the mess a little bit. We try to find out who made the mess, and then the courts take care of the rest. That helps the victims? Absolutely none. Okay. What is missing here was the fight. It's always missing. The fight is always missing. What I went back and talked about yesterday and yesterday's video about being ready to meet violence immediately without police help, because they're not going to be there. The police will not be there. What tells me about about yesterday, there weren't enough guns in there. Where were the people carrying guns? They could have brought that thing. I'm not going to say that nobody would have been shot or killed, but what I'm saying is not as many would have. If he started popping off and all of a sudden somebody in the aisle, was carrying, I mean, crying out loud, how many people we got, carrying nowadays? A lot? Yeah. In a place like Tennessee, I think that probably everybody would. I think Tennessee would be like Missouri and Kansas. But as soon as he started popping off, there should have been somebody in that aisle or the next aisle that brought it out and put him down. Now, let me just say a couple of things. If you're not carrying, if you're in a place like that and you start hearing popping sounds, and most people go, "What's that? What's that? That sounds like a..." Okay. If you're not used to gunfire sounds differently than it does in the movies. But if you start hearing things like that and people yelling and screaming, the first thing you do is stay put and get down, okay? If you're in a grocery store aisle or something like that, don't keep standing up and looking around. Get down. Because if they come around the corner of your aisle, a person who is lower doesn't register like that as quickly as a person standing up. You got to realize what's going through the mind of the shooter. A lot of things are going through the mind of the shooter. They are hyped up. They are stressed out. They are looking. They are in kill mode. And they're looking for certain things that they immediately recognize. And one of those, what they're looking for is a person. A person usually presents to our minds as a person standing up, not as a person crouching down. Get down and then make your way toward the front of the store, because that's your exit, unless you know the store and you know a back door. Okay, get down and then start doing something. Start moving around. Get to the end of the aisle and take a look around. And since you do have your weapon on you, then find out where that's coming from and go take him out, for crying out loud. And if you don't, then make a mad dash for the door. Remember that a moving target is a lot harder to hit than a stationary target. You got to make yourself hard to hit. But the main thing on these things is be ready. And like I say, I'm not going into detail on all the BS to think about and do, because you can go to all the little corporate trainings you want to. And when it starts getting real, all that stuff, most of it goes out of the average person's head. You need, as I said yesterday, Be ready for violence at all times. Your gun shouldn't be in your car. Your gun shouldn't be in your home. We're coming to a time now to where violence is going to be more and more common. Be ready for it. People say, I don't want to live in a country like that. I don't want to think I live in a world like that. Well, I'm sorry, but you do. You have a choice. Either be ready to handle it or be a waiting victim. That's it. That's all there is to it. So remember that. What was missing in that was the fight. And the police won't get there to be a part of it for the most part. Okay? They usually get there to be able to go up and down the empty aisles, see the wounded people and the dead suspect. Okay. There's really not much more to say about this. Just take it seriously. Talk to the people that you know. Talk to your loved ones. Realize what I said yesterday. This can happen anywhere at any time. Anywhere at any time. Okay. Without taking away too much, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Hopefully he'll make one about this. You all have a good day. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And living well tomorrow means carrying your gun today or being ready. If you're not up to it, or if you don't have one, or for whatever reason, being ready at least to deal with an immediate, violent threat. You all have a good day. Bye-bye.